So we have some more big news out today that House Republicans are now proposing 10 budget cuts. I want to address where these cuts are coming from, how much they are proposing, and what we could potentially see in the future. So let's get started and let's read this right here. It says, House Republicans just proposed ending the student loan payment pause and prohibiting Biden's broad debt cancellation as part of 10 major cuts. But again, what are these cuts? Well, that's what we're going to break down right now. The good news is Social Security is not part of these cuts. Neither is Medicare. So what are we going to see? Well, let's look at this. It says right here, Republican lawmakers have strongly opposed broad student loan forgiveness even before Biden announced his plan to cancel up to $20,000 in student loan debt for federal borrowers at the end of August. The plan is currently on pause due to two conservative-backed lawsuits seeking to permanently block the relief, and as the case heads to the Supreme Court on February 28. Republicans have argued the plan is illegal and should get struck down. But that's not it. I want to explain what these other budget cuts are and how much they're going to be. So here we go. Here are the other estimates from the committee on areas that they would support cutting. Again, this is from House Republicans. I want to be very clear on this. House Republicans are the majority in the House, but they still have, if they pass a bill to see cuts here, that would still have to be passed in the Senate. And that right now is most likely not going to happen. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but here are the things that they're proposing. The first one is to recapture unspent pandemic money. They're estimating about $100 billion there. The reason why this is such a big deal is because this money is just sitting there. Okay, it's just sitting. And I've told you guys this before, that states currently have billions of dollars in unspent pandemic funds that are just sitting. They're just sitting there waiting so the state can see what the economy is looking like, and then they could deploy these funds. But until then, the money's just sitting. So we could see Congress decide, you know what, if there's any money out there that the states have not yet spent, let's get all that money back or give it to the American people. It's one of two things. But the likelihood is they will just take the money back instead of making the states give it to the residents. Okay? So just keep that in mind. The other one, and this is a big one, I talked about this the other day, is placing work requirements on welfare programs like SNAP. And this could be tens of billions of dollars. Now, what kind of work requirement would there be? Well, there could be a bunch of different things. And this is where the language of the bill is going to be critical at this point. If they can negotiate, and this is one of the things that Congress says, yeah, we have bipartisan support here, then they will go and work the language. But until then, it's just an idea. Another one is to reduce fraud by requiring Social Security numbers for the child tax credit and income verification for SNAP. This could be about $70 billion. Now, I just want to pretty much point this out. One of the things that Democrats want is for everybody, whether you have a Social Security number or not, that you can qualify for the child tax credit. You're right. If you pay taxes, you'll file your income tax. Then you should get your child tax credit. And Republicans say no. You need to have a Social Security number, not an ITIN, a Social Security number. Okay, so that would bring down the amount of money that we're spending on SNAP benefits or on child tax credits, but also income verification for SNAP. Like that's big. Like you actually have to verify it. Okay, so again, we'll see if this happens. I think there's a chance we could see income verification, but as far as Social Security numbers for the child tax credit, I think that's highly unlikely because Democrats have went against that in the past. So I don't know if that's something that will happen this time. Another one, capping Obamacare subsidies at 400% of the poverty line. That would save about $65 billion. Now, capping Obamacare. This is something that the Biden administration does not want to do. They want to be able to get as many people into Obamacare as possible. And again, we need health care. So it's pretty much essential at this time. So to save $65 billion, but to cap it at 400% of the poverty line, I think that's pretty high number. But I don't know if Democrats would support that. I think that's close. I could assume that I could just assume that Democrats would want to get that number even higher than 400%. The other one, canceling EPA programs, okay, the Environmental Protection Agency programs, save about $60 billion. Again, I wish I could tell you more about that, but depending on what all the programs they'd be canceling, again, this is just a quick little snippet of what they would consider. Rescinding spending on green vehicles, okay, $13 billion. Not a huge amount, but again, it's something. Ending legal assistance for migrants. That would save about $10 million. Now, here's the thing with this, and this is something people in the comments are always talking about, is why are migrants getting assistance when the American people aren't even getting this assistance? That's kind of strange. Shouldn't we be getting more if we are paying taxes and doing things the right way? Some say yes, but others say no. Here's another big one: ending improper payments made by federal agencies. That's $281 billion. That is a lot of money. Now, what is considered an improper payment? Well, again, this is where the language, and Nancy Pelosi was big on this, years ago, that the Trump administration just didn't have the right language. The verbiage was wrong. And so that's why bills didn't pass. Well, it's going to come down to the language again. What is the language? And so again, right now, we just don't know. Another one, stopping woke waste projects focused on gender exclusivity, $6.6 million. Now, the reason why I want to go through this list, okay, because again, 6.6 million, 281 billion, 10 million, 13 billion, 60 billion, 65 billion, 70 billion, tens of billions, $100 billion, okay? All these things right here are going to help us to, for one, it's going to reduce the amount of money we are spending. President Biden said during his State of the Union address that he plans on making some cuts. He plans to make cuts to fiscal spending. So when he introduces his plan in the next month or so, then we will have an idea of where those cuts are going to be. He wants Republicans to plan, have their own plan and submit that to him as well, so he can see what Republicans are thinking as far as cuts, and then they'll go from there. That's when the negotiations will start. But again, this is next month. It's February 9th. So that's going to happen sometime in March. Then in April, we're going to have a better idea of how much money the U.S. government brought in last year from income tax. And then in May, we will see that the emergency declarations are going to end. So the public health emergency will be over. This means we're going to see SNAP benefits they will be reduced, which means the U.S. government is not going to be spending as much money on nutrition assistance and food. That's going to end. We know Medicaid. People are going to be kicked out of Medicaid. There's going to be millions of people that are just going to be booted out of Medicaid very soon. So a lot of things are changing. But it comes down to how much money we can potentially save by making these cuts. But are these cuts going to be felt by us? For example, if it was Social Security and we raised the full retirement age, or we cut benefits in order to save the Social Security Administration, the problem there is the American people would feel it. How much are the American people going to feel if we see all these different cuts that I just outlined? So we will see very soon. But as soon as I get more information as to what they are talking about, what is potentially on the table, or what has bipartisan support, I will bring that to your attention as soon as possible. Again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.